All right, here we go. So we are podcast number 5 with Lesia from Broken Canvas. How's it going?
Good, good. How are you guys doing?
So good. We have so many questions.
We do.
We have
This is
we have so many questions. So, Broken Canvas, Broken_Canvas is her Instagram account, and she was following us, and we were following her, and she posted a picture, and we just kind of went through her stuff and uh, wood burning art. So, my first question would be, how does one get into wood burning art?
You have to be really angry. No.
Okay, yeah, I was like,
you like to set stuff on fire. That's
Yeah.
number one.
um, so to be honest, I can't even be like how, but when I first started, like, I don't know how far back you guys went. It's okay to admit if you went super far back. I've been that person.
Yeah, we scrolled a few times.
But, but when I first started, I actually started by sketching, and
Okay.
I was so bad at it.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Because if that means, because I'm really bad at sketching, so if I can get to where you're at right now, then I may have a shot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Also, it helps, like, when you're quitting a vice, to, like, be able to obsess about something that's, like, is kind of good for you.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah, so I was quitting smoking, and I was like, it was just bad.
What do I do with my hands? Like that kind of
Yes.
deal? Yeah. Okay.
And
Because the natural progression doesn't go from, smoking to wood burning art.
no.
But um,
I just have to light something on fire.
yeah. So
That's actually pretty good. That's actually pretty
Yeah.
good. Like, really good switch, actually, when you think about it. I want to light a cigarette on fire, and then I'm gonna just light wood on fire. It's much safer,
Yeah.
really. I don't. Is it safer?
Honestly, I should wear a mask more often, and I'm not gonna lie, I don't, and I'm probably
wow.
breathing in all that.
Yeah. That's not good.
No.
So who got you into it? Like, what made you jump to that? Like, how do you find tools for that? Like, it's so interesting. Like, where do you go? Is there like a wood burning shop?
So my very first wood burner, I just went to, like, Michael's, and it was like $70.
Oh, okay.
And I had no idea, and they give you this kit that's like has 85 soldering ends, and you're like, what? And you end up using like 3 of them.
Right.
And,
Okay. Yeah.
and then after that, because you get a stationary one, and it's just garbage. Like, you can't wood burn worth a shit on it, and I don't know how people do. And
Yeah.
because there are some people that can do it, and they just rock it, and it's out of my forte.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then the next one, you can go like Amazon, anywhere. I got mine from Lee Valley. I think it's a Canadian company, and
Mhm.
it's just they have like way better warranties, and then you're supporting local too. So
Yeah, we've got one of those in London, actually, at Lee Valley. I don't know. You're in Brantford area?
yeah.
Yeah. Is there a Lee Valley there?
To be honest, I'm not
you don't know?
100% sure.
Okay.
I'm from
Yeah.
Hamilton, so
Oh, okay. Yeah.
No.
Yeah. No, I just wondered because I honestly thought that Lee Valley was just local, actually, in London. I didn't know if it branched out further. So that's just interesting. But
yeah, and the
it's
kids
funny.
can use on a good day.
Well, that's exactly. It's funny that you mentioned, though, with all the tools, because I'd say, like, with us with music, and especially doing the digital recording, you have a bunch of plugins that you can use. There's thousands upon thousands, but realistically, you only use 3 or 4. Like, it's just the way it goes. Like, you're like, I'm going to stick to these 4 and kind of work with them. And I may dabble into a couple others, but then I'm going to put them back. So it's really interesting, though, that it's kind of the same idea where you're given all these tools, but you really only stick to the ones, that you know. I want to know, where to get your inspiration from.
Well, a lot of the work that I do is commissions for other people, so it's kind of easy to do whatever I'm asked to, obviously. But a lot of ideas that kind of, when they come to me, it's usually a mode that I'm going through, or kind of like a mood that I'm in. And I used to write a lot of short stories as a kid. And I just feel like when I'm burning something, it's kind of, it's, yeah, it's basically a narrative on how I'm kind of feeling that day. That sounds so like
No, it's
pretentious.
like writing music,
I
really.
hate that answer. I just
No,
hate
it's a
it.
great answer. It's
It's a
a
great
great
one. That's a truthful answer.
Yeah.
No, I think that's like I mean we were talking about it with writing music and writing lyrics. Like sometimes it just comes off of an idea, or I mean our EP is called "The Stories of Others" for a reason, because it was the stories of other people that we either heard about or knew about, and kind of writing about that, right? But I think it's the same idea as like your inspiration comes forever from wherever it could be, right? So that's interesting. Yeah, because I mean I, as you can see beside me, I have the hip, the one, and I honestly, I mean, part of it because we're obviously a music podcast, but was this one commissioned? Because this one looks like an ornament, if I had to guess.
So it wasn't commissioned. It was when it took me till now to notice that was your background.
Are you serious? That's your work, actually.
That
right
is
there.
your work, right?
Yeah,
That is your work, correct? Yeah.
I did that on, I think it was July 4th. Because like it was such a beautiful day, and we were in the backyard, and of course everybody's in lockdown, and usually we have neighbors that play like such douchey music, like we're talking like no, like somehow he made Blackbird a techno song, and I'm like, what?
Uh,
How to ruin a good song right there.
Right? And I'm like, but on this particular day, one of the neighbors was blasting the hip, and I actually went to the last hip concert that was at Ivor Wynn before
right on.
we tore it down.
Yeah.
So I was just kind of like, I need to do that hat, and then now it hangs in my husband's car.
Oh, okay,
Oh,
that's why. Yeah,
awesome.
because I wasn't sure if
awesome.
it was commissioned or so. I mean, for you, for musical influences, is the hip kind of one of them, or are you Canadian rock, or what's your kind of style for music? Anyways, if we're gonna go that route.
Honestly, like it it depends on if I'm drinking for one.
Yeah.
Uh, so, but I'd say the hip definitely. I kind of feel like I am like a bandwagoner, but I don't really care because it was like it was way later in their career that I was like, this song's awesome, and they're like, this song came out 5 million years ago, and you're not cool.
Yeah.
But and then it goes from that to whatever I can move fast to if I have to like work out or whatever.
Whatever
So
it is.
the
Yeah.
only thing I can't do is like death metal. I
Yeah.
really
on.
tried to get into that in high school. I really tried to hang out with those kids and
Just didn't work
couldn't,
out.
couldn't do it. You know?
No, can't relate. And then the other thing I have, and the reason why I pulled this one, not because of the hip actually, but it was because of the coloring. How do you get the color inside the wood burning?
So I wish I had like a super sciencey answer where I'm like, well, you see. But the trick is to burn where you want to color first, so kind of outline it. Or because I use I believe just like Sharpie or like watercolor markers. But if you just use those, they'll bleed and the wood will kind of eat it like a spill. So if you kind of put lines around it, even soft lines where you want the colors to be, and then you kind of just blend it like a kid with paint, and it turns out really cool.
It looks like it just looks like it's burnt into the wood. Like somehow you've created a burning color. And when I first saw it, I mean, that was when I went to your website and Andrew was chatting with me. He's like, oh, I've got the wood burning, and I'm like, oh, okay, and I was like, wow, this is so cool. Like, how do you get color into wood like that? It blew me away. So I know it's not maybe you think it's an exciting answer, but I mean, I still wouldn't have been able to figure out what the process would have been. So
you could probably design tattoos, actually, looking at some of your work. Yeah. Because some of your work, and we recommend that anyone check out your work. It's super cool. It's super interesting. And that's why you're our first actual guest who wasn't in a band. And and it was like, we have to get her on, talk about this. It's super interesting. No worries. Has the pandemic actually affected your work at all? Have you had more time to do it, or is wood harder to come by because it's hard for everyone to come by right now? Um,
It I it's hard to because I've been working the whole time. I think if I like 20 hours a week at the library, I'm a
oh,
librarian
okay.
and a woodburner.
Oh, wow. It's
And
like angel and devil. It's like both
yeah.
sides, eh?
You got both sides of it.
Sometimes
Yeah.
I bring it to work and I'm like, don't look at me. um, no, in the summertime, I think I've had a lot more time, and it was more motivating because I could like do it outside and like wood or sand my wood outside and stuff, and just I think everything's better in the summer.
Yeah.
This second lockdown's been kind of weird for me. I don't feel as motivated, other than like if I've been more motivated to work on stuff that I want to, opposed
Rather
like
than
taking kind of a
commissions.
break from commissions. Yeah, because it's like I'll take any dog portrait any day because it's just like
Yeah,
man,
some of
hits me every time.
I shouldn't say some of the dog portraits. All of the dog portraits are unbelievable. And like Andrew said, if I know we're talking on a podcast and we can't see it, people are listening, but you like people need to seriously check it out. It's unbelievable in terms of the amount of detail that's in these. So when you do it, do you draw them out first then on the wood?
So I do. I usually have like a picture of whatever animal I'm doing, and then I have to stencil out. I kind of use negative space a lot, and that's just you know what it. Anyways,
Yeah, explain if you can explain it for everyone, that would be great.
I'm
Especially
like if
people that don't
I being
understand.
condescending, I'm like negative
No,
space.
Do you
no,
get it? No,
no.
never mind.
Never I swear I'm nice in real life. um, so it's the idea, kind of like if you look at a dog and say it's like got different spots, I just go over it and pick out all the dark parts and leave all the lighter parts just blank. So when I take the stencil off, it usually kind of looks like a monster dog or monster animal at first. But then like again, like I wish I could say it was way more like super complicated, but I just follow my lines and I have to trust them or like I'll
Yeah,
give the
Yeah.
shit.
I guess there's a lot of I guess there is a lot of trust in what you've seen, but you still have to. I mean, you still have to take that picture though and start shading in, right, in the wood burning
Yeah.
process to be able to get the depth because there's a lot of depth in your images too, right?
Yeah, it's a lot of starting at a low heat. Because like a burner, depending on the one you have, goes from 1 to 10 or 1 to 8 or whatever. And basically doing the same motion, I'd say 3 different times, but at different heat.
Oh, wow.
I wouldn't.
Wow.
Yeah, that wouldn't know. I would never know on that.
No.
No, would have Sam do just crank it on number 10 and let's start burning
Just go.
people.
Just go.
Let's go.
Um,
If it's
how
at
many
10,
how many pieces in your house do you have of your own work?
uh, hanging up or like in my closet?
Like hanging up.
Let's go displayed. Yeah, let's say
That's-
displayed.
Yeah. Just how many are you like there?
I'd say I have about 3 or 4.
Oh, only.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm like still in that awkward. I don't know if you actually ever get out of like that imposter syndrome where you're like, I'm not like this isn't something that I'm good at. Like I'm tricking all of you.
Oh,
Fair enough. You got me
Like,
fooled
you just
then.
haven't caught
That's-
on yet.
that's why she didn't recognize your background. Because she's like, oh yeah, it's mine.
Oh,
right.
that's
Whoops.
right.
Yeah. Now I need to make a story of how I made that. Great.
Oh, God.
Got me. But it's funny because I can relate in terms of I was saying listening back to like our music that we make. Once it's out there, I'm almost like I'm done. I'm at peace with it. I don't need to hear it again necessarily. I don't know about you, Andrew, how you feel with it. I'm more inclined of just wanting to make more, right? Make more art. In that case, for us, it's music. For you, it's wood burning. So I wonder if that's also maybe it. Like it's just one of those feelings where it's like I want to have some sort of disconnect with it and go, you know what, it's done. I'm putting it off to the side. And even though there's more to be made, but I wonder if that's kind of the same feeling.
I think a part of it is, I think, too, like things that I'm going to notice that are wrong with it, or wrong, like in your circumstance, music. Not that there's anything wrong with it.
You're
You're
lying,
gonna
but
be
thank you.
more. You're gonna be way more critical, and like I'm never gonna notice that you're like, oh, that was I hit the chord, or what, I don't know
Yeah,
anything
for
about
sure.
music.
No, but you're right on. It's exactly it. Yeah. Whereas
And
you're
that's
right,
how.
because yeah, go ahead.
Go on. Oh, that's how I am the opposite of Nate with when it comes to our music. I listen to it so often that like I literally, because once it's out there, like he's right. Once it's out there, you kind of just forget about it. But then once you start doing new stuff, and you're like, this sound is, we got that sound way better. Then I go back and I'm like, oh, I could have done this so much better. And it's kind of the same thing like you're saying, like you could see the flaws in it. Not that I'm looking for flaws, but like I just listen for just mixing and how it was done and how it could have been better and how it's too late now because it's already like out there. So I obsess that way. Like I obsess about the sound, and when you say you can look at a thing in your house every day and go, I wish that was better. I wish I didn't screw this up. But someone else walks in, they're like, that's beautiful, and then your first reaction is gonna be like, oh, it's okay, I guess, right? And then like no one likes that response. They're like, oh, but yeah, no, I get it. Yeah, totally.
And I know with any sort of artwork, I know a lot of people, including myself, when I've done something, regardless of what it is, I'll always point out, I don't know if you do this, but I point out the failure of that piece,
Right?
almost right away. Just say, oh, that right there, yeah, that shouldn't have been done that way. And of course, they turn around and go, I would have never known. Would have never
Yeah.
No,
known.
exactly. I
You right.
actually learned that kind of the hard way. Well, not the hard way, but like when I first started posting things on Instagram, I would always start my first, like my caption would be like, well, I fucked up her hair, but here we go. And
Yeah.
it was like, it took somebody actually messaging me being like, you're really like self-deprecating. It's like, you should be a little bit prouder. And I was like, okay.
Yeah, it's human nature though, because I think like what we try and do is let everyone know that we're aware there's a fuck up in it, so someone doesn't go, they think that's good, there's an obvious fuck up in it. But if you admit it first, then they'll be like, oh, okay, yeah, I noticed that. But like 99% of the time they'll be like, oh, now I notice it. But I think that's what it is. It's like almost like an insecurity, I guess, where you kind of want,
Yeah.
it's not perfect, this is why it's not perfect, before someone even gets the chance to even appreciate it. I do it all the time too.
Yeah.
Such
Like,
a
I'm no
all
loser.
do.
longer vulnerable because I know this is shit. Okay.
How's the market in Brantford? How are you received there? Like, because have you done this in Hamilton first and then moved to Brantford?
No.
No. Okay.
Yeah, I only started wood burning about a year and a half ago.
Yeah,
But started probably sketching like 3 years ago.
wow.
It's been pretty good. It was kind of like I started my account and like didn't sell anything for like 2 years. And then it was just kind of like a switch went off and it was just like boom, people were messaging me. And I don't know if it was because like people were bored, so they were able to see like the whatever I was putting on Facebook or Instagram, or they had more money, or I don't know. But ever since, it's kind of just like it's caught on.
And do
I
you
think
do any marketing for it, like in any other way, or do you any trade shows or anything outside?
I want to.
Yeah.
One
I mean, obviously we
thing
can't do
there,
them right now.
yeah, I was like, honestly, as this past summer, I was like, we're gonna do festivals and like we're gonna be one of those weird hippie couples that always smell like hemp.
Well, you can come to London. We usually have like the folk fest. I'm trying to think of like the other festivals that we always have the vendors here in London. Victoria Park,
Yeah. Ribfest,
Rib Fest,
Sunfest,
always.
Sunfest. Yeah.
Sunfest is a big one. That's a huge
Yeah.
one.
Yeah, it's my favorite.
Yeah.
Is it?
So
Yeah.
you should actually do that. That'd be great, because and not only will it be like original, but when we can do that stuff again, people will be there in droves, right? So
Oh yeah.
that's
Yeah.
a good time to like start going. You can sleep in the
Yeah.
park; it'd be perfect. Like that's just like
Right?
yeah.
My art.
Yeah.
But it's
That's
interesting though. It's interesting that, and you've pretty much, so it's essentially it's just been your website then, and Instagram and Facebook has been your pretty much it, right?
Yeah. And like honestly, just like networking, and I don't even mean that in like a superficial way. I mean like I have a like during open times, I go to a CrossFit gym here. Well, CrossFit gyms, like we're another whole other community, right? And so you have like, if you go to that CrossFit gym, you know, there's the Tom the chiropractor, and everybody goes to Tom the chiropractor,
Right.
and so on and so forth. So when I'm kind of in there, like building tables or doing kind of rusticy things, if however you want to describe it, and they're kind of like, oh, well, Lacey does that. So that's a huge networking opportunity in that way. And then their friends know their friends, and word of mouth. And yeah.
Awesome. Do you use Twitter at all?
I am told to use Twitter a lot, and I don't know how. It seems really exhausting.
It is.
It is. I'll
exhausting.
tell you that right now. It is absolutely. That's my job.
That's why Nate does it, because
That's why I do it.
it's every day. You got to. It's like you're hustling, with the world essentially.
Yeah.
And you know, but it's a great networking tool.
I would highly. It's funny. I would highly, honestly recommend it, because that was the one thing I asked Andrew. Go, oh, is Broken Canvas on, you know, Twitter? And just like, no, it's just Facebook and IG, and then, you know, your own website. And I was like, okay. And I was like, I honestly think you could really, you know, spread out a little bit, you know, to be honest. And that's one of the reasons how we have gotten. I mean, especially. Like we said, we've had love in the UK more than we've had in Canada, and even in the US, for our music. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's weird because I found that Twitter, I didn't attach my personal profile whatsoever, because I wanted to keep my work essentially separate from this. And my personal Twitter account is more ideal for work. But it's amazing because everyone that is on Twitter, essentially, that is following us, is really nobody that we know for the most part, which is kind of neat, because it's just people that are out there appreciating what we've done. And I could only see it, you know, helping you exponentially, but it may even help you connect with people, you know, in and around the area too. So yeah,
And you gotta you gotta actually tell us, because something I didn't tell you beforehand is, today we got picked up from a Scotland radio station, like a new one. It's called Back Roadie Radio, and so they picked up our music, and then picked up our podcast, which is like hilarious, because we started the podcast just to kind of get our name out there, and then we had some bands we met. All the bands, the two bands that were on the show as well, they met us on Twitter, and they've been like, you know, sharing our stuff, and really, really great guys. So through that, we've been picked up from a Scottish radio station, and it's gonna be so interesting is if someone ever contacts you from Scotland looking for some wood burning art, it's because of this thing. That's because of this.
I wish that my face could be captured, because I'm like so stoked for you guys.
Yeah, we'll see how far it goes. It's funny, like, but that's really what's happened for us, at least on Twitter, right? Has been that. And especially like what you said, though, is you're able to go, or when we all were able to go like to a CrossFit gym or go somewhere where you can kind of network. It hasn't been the case right now whatsoever. Yeah. So for us, we kind of had to really think of a different way to connect with either bands or just other people in general. Like, you know, we can't play a gig and have people come to a show, so that's not going to work, you know? So we thought, you know, Twitter and Instagram and Facebook are all great, but then even this, you know, being able to talk to you as well about this is just totally, you know, different, but it's something that we wouldn't have been able to do otherwise. Right. So.
Totally. I love all the people. Like I've connected with so many people that if I hadn't picked up a hobby that is now like, what's in between an obsession and a hobby? Like I wouldn't have met you guys. I would there's women that I meditate with over Zoom that are from just like Manitoba, Florida.
That's crazy.
And we just started meditating together. And but it's definitely cool.
Does meditation actually, what does it do for you? Because I'm either highly like stoked or like anxious, I guess. And I was looking to meditation, but I'm just like, I can't like stay still for too long. I'm just like always like So what does it do for you? What are the benefits? Like, does it actually like you feel like loose and like I'll join your group. I'll join your group.
I was gonna say you're gonna get something going on.
I'll jump in.
Sold.
It is like for me, it helps relieve a lot of anxiety. It helps me sleep because I do have not so much anymore, but a lot of insomnia I used to have, or just like waking up a lot. It's totally normal when you're meditating to be like, I have thoughts that I have not put in the dryer. Totally normal. My only thing that I could suggest if you wanted to like add movement is like just maybe adding some stretches or like some yoga. And then that way you're kind of concentrating on moving your body well, opposed to like breathing and being like, shit, I lost track of what this guy was saying again in this meditation.
And then do you find that helps with your artwork as well? Is it any part of it, or is it separate?
I think it helps in the sense where it kind of lets me like recalibrate. Because since I started doing wood burning and like not so much college partying anymore, because I was like, I'm 28 and I finished college like 7 years ago. And now I'm 32. So I'm like, I'm way more introverted than I ever thought possible. So if I don't get a chance to do my art and I'm forced to socialize, I get real cranky real quick. So the only other way I like kind of out of my toolbox of anxiety prevention is doing meditation for 10 minutes. Or that's even maybe just like sitting downstairs and like not maybe, well, maybe screaming into a pillow. Sometimes it's
and sometimes that's the best thing.
How long does I meant to ask you this earlier? How long, like for example, that hip one? How long did that take to do? Like what's the hours like from start to finish?
This one, I think took me about, I want to say an hour and a half.
Oh wow.
But it's tiny.
Yeah.
But it really depends because, like, for instance, like the dog or like a coat of arms or something like that, where it's a lot of line work. It's sorry, I saw the time and it totally.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, it's all good. It's all good. We're good.
Happens all the time.
Like the latest dog picture that I just posted probably took about 10 to 15 hours.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you do that all
like a tattoo.
Wow. You don't do that all in one sitting though, right? Is that back and forth? No. Okay.
No,
I wasn't sure if it was something where like once you start, if you have that image, you just have to go, or do you can you break it up?
Some days, like there'll be days where I would burn and I have my podcast on and I go through 4 hours and I'm like, oh, like I gotta eat something. But then there's other days where you're just, and I'm sure you've had days like this where you're just like, I'm not really feeling it. I don't really have anything going on, and like maybe that's my body's way telling me I got to do something else today.
Yeah.
So
and then what's the largest? Would you know? Like, would you be? I don't know if you know this, but do you know what the largest piece you've ever done? Like, how big?
Probably about 3 feet by 2 feet.
Wow.
Okay.
That is large.
It was actually for a guy that I didn't know him, nicest guy, and his friend had passed away, and his name was Rusty, and so he turned his garage, especially during the pandemic, into like a bar that him and his buddies could hang out at, and wanted me to make a fishing sign. Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah.
It said Rusty's, and I guess his buddy's like quote for life was "fit in or fuck off."
That's amazing.
So yeah, and then
good old Rusty.
Fish all over it. So
that's really so cool. You know, I'm looking at Nate's background. I'm looking at my background, and I think I might need you to make me a Chasing Records one.
That would be actually sweet,
right? Like I'm just looking at the circle imagery here, and
yeah, that's actually really cool.
Your marketing worked. Your marketing worked. Like I'm seeing circles,
right?
And now I want it. Yeah, I might have to get you to make one. I think that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, I definitely do that.
Yeah, because I think it'd be cool on my wall, even like a little bit bigger. Just put on my wall.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, I already have a lot of stuff on my wall for our band already, but
Yeah, I know.
just keep adding to it.
Our
Wow,
number
what's
one
up?
fan is right there.
Yeah,
He's in the band.
yeah, I am. I obsess. I
Yeah.
listen for mistakes.
It's fun.
That's awesome.
But that's
All right.
really neat though. I mean, it makes sense though in terms of like your inspiration too, and like what other people obviously what other people want. So essentially you will do almost anything then in terms of what somebody wants then, I guess. I mean, I'm sure there's some things you're like, no, but for the most part, I mean, obviously as long as it's within the realm of possibility and whatnot, you're pretty open.
Imagine somebody being like, I want to be me as a centaur.
Exactly. Yeah.
That was my next request.
Next request.
Now I feel weird about it. But yeah.
You wouldn't be the first. No.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Damn it.
But,
Can people order through your website? Is it possible to order?
So the best way is they can ask for a quote via my website. Right now, the website I'm on for some reason won't allow me to do shipping. So if they connect with me over email, I'm able to set up the shipping in like a secure way that still makes everybody feel comfortable.
Okay.
I'm just so lazy with websites. I get so angry.
And you want to say your website? I mean, you might as well promote it right now.
Might as well segue right into that.
Yeah, segue. Go for it.
Sorry, I totally missed that segue.
Yeah, you gotta keep up with that stuff.
So you can come to my website at brokencanvas.org or find me on Facebook or Instagram at broken_canvas.
Beautiful.
Beautiful.
And you should go guys, anyone listening to this should check it out. It's really beautiful. It's really unique. I have 3 dogs, and I might just need all your artwork in my house. Just everything.
I was just gonna say I've got a Siberian Husky who I would imagine a lot of ones are because of somebody's like a passing of a dog or like a memory, right? It's probably a lot of the commissions that you get.
Yeah, I was actually saying to my husband today, I was like, I kind of am starting to feel like the angel of death, because like every thought, like, not that it's about, like, I love commemorating it.
No, for sure.
Just like, I feel like I'm like a middle step in the grief
period.
Yeah.
Period. Yeah.
Yeah. I wondered, like, I kind of wondered if that would also take maybe a bit of a mental toll, even on you, just as an individual, knowing that that's what you're doing all the time, but at the same time, maybe it's the other way, is that you are helping in the grieving process as well, which is pretty impressive too.
It makes me obsess a lot more about details, because I'm like, no, like, this matters. They stared at this dog during like best, worst, whatever. They stared at this and memorized the characteristics of their dog's face, so they're gonna know if I fuck it up.
Yeah.
And I won't even have to tell them.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to caption it when I give it to them.
Here, I'm so sorry for your loss. His left ear is completely fucked. I'm sorry. And you share the same qualities as a tattoo artist for that exact reason, right? So a tattoo artist, you're like this person died or this animal died, they'd be like, it had to be perfect, or it's going to be forever.
Forever on you.
Forever on you, yeah. So that's awesome.
Way different than wood.
Yeah, just a little bit. Yeah, you can at least throw the wood away. You can't exactly chop the person's arm off and go, sorry, we'll get you a new one.
Yeah. Before you leave, before we're done here, I guess I got to ask, what was the weirdest request you got for a project?
I haven't gotten too many weird ones yet.
Okay, good for you. Good for you. It's been a year and a half. Give it time.
Yeah, I'm like waiting for that creepy time to come where it's just kind of like, no, I can't do a dick pic wood burn.
Yeah.
I don't want to have to explain why I can't do that.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Like, I have several pics to show you. You can pick the best one.
Why? It's a Polaroid camera still.
But nothing too weird. Good. That's good. That's good, because the internet's a funny thing, and you've lucked out. Yeah.
Yeah.
So far, so far.
I joke.
So far, yeah. Hopefully,
Yeah.
this is not the
The
start of,
segue, yeah.
the segue of terrible requests. We apologize in advance. All Andrew's fault for that question.
Yeah. How long will my dick pic one show up? Come on, come on. Great. Well, thanks so much. That was awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. That was
Yay.
unbelievably fast.
Yeah, yeah. That was 40 minutes right there. Boom.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Time flies.
Yeah. Time flies when you're talking about dick pics at the end of a
Yeah.
podcast.
Podcast and wood burning.
Captured it perfectly.
Oh, all right, guys. So again, check her broken underscore canvas Instagram, Facebook. It's just broken canvas, right?
Oh my god, I should know that.
It
I
is just
think
broken.
it's
You know what?
underscore stuff.
Oh, really? Never mind. She knows her own stuff, and it's brokencanvas.org.
Yes,
But she
the
can't
website.
ship it right now because org is not a good thing. So, and do you want to give your email for shipping? What's your email? Is it broken canvas at?
It's brokencanvasshop@gmail.com.
There you go. That's
and
for
you get
shipping.
you get your shipping quote there and get a great piece of art. All right. Well, thank you so much.
All right.
It was awesome.
Thanks so
Bye.
much.
All right.
All right.
Bye.
All right.